Hey, it's your girl Takia and I'm back with another video. First I want to apologize for the lighting. It's going to be really wonky for probably the next few videos because I just broke my light. Yeah, so we're going off the natural daylight, so if the lighting kind of like, focuses in and out or gets darker in the video, that's because, like I said, I'm going with the natural daylight, so it changes and stuff. So I just want to really apologize for that and just to bear with me. It's just really sad because I can't even make like a spooky atmosphere or whatever. But anyways, I do have a great video planned for you guys to continue this series of spooky things. So first things first, if you like what you see and you like what you hear, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. As I was saying, in today's video, it's going to be a story, but this story is not going to be one of my personal stories as I did in the first video. This is actually a story that I scrolled upon when I was on Instagram and the title interested me. So I clicked on it, I read about like a good 3 sentences, I read like legit though, I read like 3 sentences because I didn't want to read the whole thing because I was like, oh my goodness, I think this is this might be a really good story and something for me to read upon my channel. So yeah, let's get started on with the video. Wow, I also forgot to mention that I got some Halloween decorations hanging up, and I know it's not much, but I don't know, I thought they were cute. I saw them, I bought them, and I said that I would have some decorations up. And it's really sad that I didn't have decorations up in the first video. But anyway, I'll probably add to the collection. Next video you'll probably see a little something new. But if you don't be disappointed, because it's coming. It's coming soon. The title of this story is I'm Convinced My Parallel Universe Self Was Speaking to My Family. This story took place about 5 years ago, and every single word of it is 100% true. To this day, my family and I still can't explain what happened. My mom, dad, and 2 sisters went on a family trip across Europe. I stayed at home with my husband and 12-month-old baby. It's 3 a.m. in the morning and my phone's ringing. It's my dad. I'm thinking that's weird. He's usually aware of what time it is when he calls. Maybe he doesn't realize, so I ignore it. My phone rings again. I'm now thinking it's somewhat urgent and I should answer, but it rings out before I can pick it up. I then notice I have a dozen missed calls from both my mom and dad and my sisters. I also have a heap of messages, so now I'm wide awake and thinking the absolute worst. I open up the text messages and they're all along the lines of, everything will be okay, we're going to get the next flight home to be with you, stay strong, we love you. And I'm like, what are they going on about? My phone rings again and I answer straight away. What is going on, Dad? What do all these text messages mean? Now it takes a lot to make my dad concerned. On the phone, he's really concerned and trying to keep his crap together. Through gritted teeth and his voice shaking, he says, I've just been on the phone to you for an hour. What do you mean, what's going on? I'm completely dumbfounded. I went to bed at 10 p.m. and have been fast asleep until now. The last time I spoke with my parents was 3 days ago. How could I have possibly been on the phone with my dad for the last hour? I tell him he must be confused. I've been asleep and definitely didn't make any phone calls. Don't play games with me, my dad almost shouts. I've been on the phone with you for the last hour counseling you because you just found out that you're pregnant and your husband has left you. What? At this point, my husband has woken up to all the commotion and asking what's going on. Dad, what are you talking about? My husband's right here, asleep next to me. He hasn't walked out on me, and I'm definitely not pregnant. Dad's angry now. He's telling me to stop bullcrapping him and that this isn't funny. He's demanding I tell him the truth, asking if both me and my son are okay, and I do know where my husband has gone. At this point, I'm thinking I've been sleep talking. I've somehow called my dad in my sleep and told him this ridiculous story. My husband doesn't believe it, saying he would have woken up to me crying on the phone to my dad if I had in fact done that in my sleep. I tell my dad to hang on a minute while I check if I made any calls to him. I look through my phone long, and apart from multiple missed calls, I haven't made any calls to my dad or my family for the matter. The last phone call received was 3 days ago. I checked my husband's phone in case I somehow clambered over him and used his phone to make the ridiculous phone call. Nope, nothing. Dad, I've just checked my phone. I haven't made any calls to you. I asked my dad if my caller ID showed up when I called him. He says he can't remember, so he checks. A minute or so later, he says, it says unknown. I haven't received any phone calls from your phone number. My dad is suspicious now, thinking, who in the world did he speak to? My bewilderment turns to anger. Has someone pranked my dad? Who would make up such a story and upset my whole family? My dad denies it, saying he knows my voice and says it was definitely me. Even my sister got on the phone and said she was there the whole time, talking to me while I was in hysterics on the phone. She said that I hadn't told them my husband got angry and walked out. When I told him I was pregnant. I didn't know where he went, and he wasn't answering my calls. I said I was scared to be home by myself with my son, so I went to stay with a friend. My sister said she could hear my friend in the background, but I wouldn't tell them which friend I was staying with when they asked. Dad asked me why I didn't go to his house as I still have the key, and I said I didn't want to because of their family friend who was staying there, which was a true piece of information. My mom and dad had a family friend staying with them for a few months and was looking after their house while they were traveling. My sister said eventually I calmed down and said I had to go as I didn't want to keep my friend awake any longer. I said I have to go to work the next day and need to cancel my dentist appointment. Another true piece of information, I was in fact called into work the following day and had told my husband the night before I'll need to cancel my dentist appointment. This is so weird. I don't know. This is weird. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and at the same time, my family couldn't believe that I was telling them otherwise. I had to take a photo of me to prove to them that everything was fine. None of that had happened. We stayed on the phone with each other until 6 a.m. in the morning. Me convincing them that they definitely did not have to get on the next flight home. No one could make sense of what happened. My dad and family still didn't 100% believe me until they got home from Europe and saw me in the flesh. We speak about it every now and again. I always ask my dad and sister to tell me again and again exactly what I said to them over the phone. I find it fascinating and terrifying at the same time. My dad doesn't like talking about it. He just shakes his head and says, I don't know what to believe. And I don't blame him either. What he and my family heard was real. They really were on the phone with me and were all devastated at what I was telling them, ready to jump on the next flight home and telling me to stay strong. Imagine then being told a few minutes later by the real me that I had no idea what they were talking about. And that's the end of it. I'm so confused. So the lighting's changed, but so I guess I can understand that really is pretty spooky, because to hear something and or for her family to experience that, and then like she said later on they call her and gets a completely different story. But what I think the interesting part is where it was half truths. I've never really heard of parallel universes or something like that. I'll have to look that up, and I'll put it on the side on one of these sides what the definition of a parallel universe is for those out there who also don't know what a parallel universe is. But I think I pretty much have an idea. It's I feel like it's kind of, I'm not gonna say deja vu, something that you've done before, but I feel like it's in that realm of stuff, or the Mandela effect. I think that has to do with something with a parallel universe. And for those of you who don't know what the Mandela effect is, I will also put up a definition just in case I don't explain it as well, because I know that my words are always crumbled and mashed up. So the Mandela effect is, yeah, it does have something to do with the parallel universe. They're saying that like our world like jumped through a loop at some point in time, or they're saying that like and this is just information that I've read, and this is what I know. It may not be the complete fact, and if it isn't, you know, you can correct me, and I'll, you know, make sure from now on I will have the correct information. But from what I know, it's like at one point like the world was gonna end or something like that, but it jumped like through somehow. It like jumped through either like a black hole or like some kind of, it jumped through like a different universe. And so there's things that we remember, like kind of like deja vu. There's a picture of Mickey Mouse. For me, I always have remembered Mickey Mouse having straps with his trousers, the trousers that he has. I've always imagined him having like the straps. But if you go to any picture now, the straps are gone. They are gone. But in my head, I remember him having straps. Or like now how Chick-fil-A is spelled, like I remember it being spelled a different way, but it's like now you look at the Chick-fil-A signs and you're like, oh, that doesn't look right. Like, did they change it? But apparently it's always been that way. So it's just like you know, consciously people remember things as a certain way, but now there's something different. Or like the Berenstain Bears, apparently they're pronounced a different way and things like that. But like I've always remembered it as the Berenstain Bears. Like I've never, the other way it's pronounced, I forgot. But it's pronounced another way now, and apparently it's always been that way. But anyway, so that's like kind of like what a parallel universe is. So I figured what happened to her is that maybe they clashed at one point. So it may have been something like in the future, or I guess like she said in a different universe. And I just think that that's so weird to think about, that there's like another you, and not even like not a twin, but just like in another universe there's another version of you. Like, you know, like for me, it probably could be like someone that's the complete freaking opposite of me. Like, I know that I'm very kind-hearted. You know, the parallel universe of me could be like a complete like booty hole. Like, I don't know. I just think that that's very interesting to think about, and that's something to get into. And I guess that's like all a part. But like I said, I think the parallel universe thing, or what this story was about, like all conjoins in with like deja vu, like that feeling you get like, haven't I done this already? Or like the Mandela effect. So yeah, I don't know, that was like really interesting. And I apologize if I tripped on some of the words. It's because that person was from a different country, so I had like mum, or like, I don't know, they talked differently, and I just kind of I was trying to read it like how I would read it. But yeah, and it did have some cuss words in there, so it's like I would read upon a cuss word, and I'd be like, oh, don't say the cuss word, you have to come up with a different word. So I'm sorry about that if that was bad. But yes, I will put up where I got the story on either side of me. I will also link the page down in the description box if you guys want to check that page out. They have other stories and facts and interesting things on there too. I might be pulling a few more stories or so from there too as well. But yeah, I advise you guys to go check it out. It's really cool. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any stories or any videos or anything like that you guys would like me to add to this series, or any you know, scary stories that you guys would like me to read on here that were, you know, was kind of like this one, or conspiracy theories, you know, anything that's you know, like a thriller or scary or Halloween themed, or just spooky in general, you guys can link those down in the comments, or my social media is also in the description box, so that way you guys can contact me there. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm excited to continue this series, and thank you for, you know, tuning in for episode 2, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.